Good night, and welcome to Mindful Live. I am your host, your co-host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. It's live 458 on the 30th of January in the year of our Lord 2025. Yeah, boy, a brand new year. We're in the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, paradise on earth, where they say God resides. They also say it's not a real place, so you take all of those sayings with a pinch of salt. But nonetheless, we are in this glorious place. We are in this glorious place and we are grateful. And the host wants to say good night. Say good night, host.
Good night.
What's that you're showing the people? What's that?
Pig.
A pig? And what sound it makes? Very good. Well done. But yes, once you are on the inside, if you are viewing this on YouTube or on TikTok, be sure to hit that like button, 2 taps of the screen real quick over there on TikTok, and keep hitting the like button as many times as you like. Constantly, don't stop. Whole life, just keep it going. Keep it going. The red man said that's a politician. What you saying? What you trying to introduce the young lady into already? And she's chewing on this. That's some bacon you're having? I don't think Abu Malik will approve of that. Hey, people on the inside, as I said, hit that like button if you're viewing this over on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, share, drop a comment, tell me what you think. It's some good stuff. We're talking the affairs of the day. So yeah, as we're talking about this SSA issue, lest we forget, let's go through what this issue really is talking about. The allegations are that the SSA was looking to do some kind of coup-ish something. Some kind of take over the authorities that be business. Now, taking over the authorities that be doesn't go over well with the authorities that be. Now, if that's the allegation against the SSA, coup-ish behavior, and then the SSA was looking to did purchase 2 of probably the number 1 snipers in the world. One of the best snipers. Really well outfitted for professional and expert use. 2 snipers. Listen, where in Trinidad would you use a sniper in regular crime fighting? If this is the case, I could start to understand why Dr. Rowlers got so worried and rack up the SSA business one time. Wasn't he away when he racked that up? I think he wasn't even in Trinidad when that racked up. If you are the current leader, let's go through this. If you are the current leader, and a group wants to overthrow the leadership, and they purchased sniper rifles, what the sniper rifle for? You don't write letters of protest with sniper rifles. You understand? Sniper rifles aren't for 6 and 7 gang members. Police do not raid drug blocks using sniper rifles. They don't raid drug blocks using sniper rifles. What crime fighting means would a sniper rifle be utilized for? User says there's no rifles. It's all distraction tactic to hide what's going on in the Privy Council. Listen, I could smell, I could sense when somebody is a member of all the UNC groups. I could sense it. I could also sense when they're a member of all the PNM groups. I could also sense when you're a member of those political groups, man, you're in a lost bubble. People talking about possible assassination attempts. A trail of bodies left already. And you out here, because some politician whisper foolishness in your ears, you out here believing that a Privy Council ruling is the real issue, not people dying. Really? What are they distracting from the Privy Council? The Privy Council didn't rule any bombshell ruling, you know. It wasn't really a bombshell. All they said was, you don't have a case. The actual judicial review hasn't been done yet. But no. You are hopped up on that yellow juice. So this is a distraction from the Privy Council. Not understanding you getting distracted watching nonsense. Go read the entire Privy Council ruling and see what bombshell is. Listen, we can't distract from the Privy Council because we have no say over the Privy Council. We can't determine when the law lords give their ruling or anything. So I don't know who is distracting what for why. What is that? The police commissioner is being questioned about it. Major Best, the former leader, is being questioned about it. They're talking about sniper rifles with silencers. The reason in many countries, in many areas, why silencers may actually carry a worse charge than the weapon is because what good reason could there be for wanting a silencer? What's the positive reason for that? By and large, as law enforcement, if your gun ricochets through the entire community when it shoots, that's not a problem because you are only supposed to be shooting that gun when you have proper reason to shoot it. So a silencer says, and the SSA was out there accumulating silencers and sniper rifles. And we think a ruling about an accounting misright is the real issue that they're hiding from. While right beneath the surface, the suggestion is that the top ranks of the police service, may have been plotting some kind of murderous takeover of the country. That's what is being said. That's the undertone of what is being said. And I mean, we should have dismantled the SSA. Dismantling, asking a government to dismantle the SSA is basically asking the government to create their own secret security agency. That's what you're asking a government to do, because pretty much any modern government is going to have some kind of covert security operation. It's just the nature of modern life. They were going to shoot fish in a barrel, and it's for the Olympics. All right, the Redman and Trinidad, yes, those are possibilities. We had a secret Olympic shooting training team that really needed the best sniper rifle, not a sporting rifle, I went and I looked up the rifle. Me and a rifle man. I went and I looked up the sniper rifle, and they say this is about the best that it gets. It is not used for sporting. It is not a hunting rifle. It is used by law enforcement and professionals. Whatever professionals means in the case of shooting a gun. And I have a feeling that fish in a barrel don't need a sniper rifle. How far this barrel is, and how big the fish are. What kind of fish we talking here? We talking dinosaur fish? Dinosaur fish out here? And is the barrel in Tobago while you're trying to shoot it from Trinidad? Why we need the sniper? But as I said, if all of this is true, remember the kind of concern that Dr. Rowley moved with about this. Trinidad says, okay, well, now we know why Rowley's stepping down and put Stewart in place to take the heat. Well, I don't know, but it seems like somebody had some strange intent. And that's why I was saying, as for the person who said further up that nothing will come out of this, I don't necessarily agree. If as is being displayed right now, I see you, Abu, Lil Putin there, and Trini's worried about ISIS women. Can you shout out my girl Aria? Big up your whole self, Aria. All right. As I was saying, yeah, in Trinidad very often things like this may reap and show no real fruit. But if it is as it seems here is the case that some kind of somebody's neck may have been on the line, then the people that have the power would have a lot of motivation to get something out of this. And to be honest, as far as investigations go, this seems to have a fair bit of action. How often do you hear a commissioner of police being accosted and restrained and interviewed? That's not like, you could say it's a distraction if you want, but this is not something we are familiar with. The commissioner of police was detained and questioned regarding the purchase of sniper rifles for a rogue security agency that they are suggesting had intent of sedition. Trini might have once known why would she give a license for a weapon like that. Basically, she have to be part of this school. I don't know, but they're certainly trying to find out. I guess that's what the questioning and interrogation would be asking right now. Why did you sign off on this? Why did you sign off on this? What would be the intent of this? What was the request about? What were they suggesting they were going to do with the sniper rifles here? Like if you think, as you said rightfully, Abu, if it was the defense force, that would still make some more sense. The defense force still makes some more sense because you could say, alright, you never know, next thing Venezuela feel jumpy, all them deportees going back to Venezuela, things could get a little serious. We want the defense force. If Grenada or Barbados play up, we want to be able to, stamp our feet and say we could do something from the defense. The defense force is where snipers belong. Oh gosh, I could take that. Go up on the archipelago there, go up on the edge of Trinidad, shoot some rifles into some targets. I don't mind. Get you with the TT defense force. But in the policing arena, what is the possible use for a sniper? I'm trying to think. Okay, SWAT might have a sniper. If we have some kind of hostage situation or something, you could have a SWAT sniper. All right, that might make sense. Was that the idea? Nature Lover says the woman must be signing it when she was praying. Sir, let's not lambast the lady's prayers. Good night, Mr. Clyde. But, I mean, something seems to not be adding up there. And it's a scary sum. It's a scary sum that we can't seem to add up out here. This goes right up the TTPS. right up the TTPS. And interestingly enough, for those of us who are regularly in the live, one of the officers that I regularly speak about, yes, they were like the Secret Service, probably more like the NSC, but similar, yes. It was DCP Martin, recently released from her case for allegedly knocking, well, not allegedly, she knocked down the guy, but they said nothing was wrong with it, so knocked down the youth. So Ms. Martin, freshly off from being released from that case, was the one who made the arrest. Abu, you don't find these things, like, after a while the coincidences start to feel like they're lining up? You don't find so? Her case dismissed 2 weeks ago. Now she is detaining and questioning the commissioner. It's either Miss Martin is just very proficient, very effective, a brilliant person in her roles, or somebody really trusts her. Somebody has her as their number one on speed dial. Somebody has her on there as their number one on speed dial. Either that or the lady is just that good. Maybe she is. Ms. Martin, if you are looking at this program, maybe you are that good. I'm not questioning your ability and your proficiency at your tasks. But I mean, it's interesting. It is interesting. And bear in mind, still hanging in the balance with all of this. Is the lawyer that was murdered on All Year's Night. In front of the cameras that only record live, allegedly. And that lawyer worked at the SSA. The SSA all went to the tatter hit the fan at the SSA. I believe it was March. The lawyer quickly left his job as legal advisor to the SSA in April. What's that post? There are several parts that, you know, the puzzle seems to be making itself over time. The pieces of the puzzle seem to be falling in place all on its own. And somehow I don't think, if indeed these trail of bodies, etc., are from the SSA's work, I don't think there would only be that lawyer and the CCTV technician. I don't think it would only be those two. We may never know how many people killed may have been killed at the hands of our own protective services. And you know, I could wonder to myself in a way, like, if we have a secret agency out here willing to kill, how we still have gang leaders? You all willing to break the law? You all okay with murdering people?
In the month.
Yes, Otis. I know very well what SSA backward is. Things like this, the agencies will clean shop. Yeah, people. It is a Thursday and we're talking. That's what we do on a Thursday. You know, it's Thursday Talks. We talk about whatever the discussions and topics inside the live are. But and they lock up Christmas list for showing them the real Trinidad. And I guess we'll see how that case all turns out. But to me, that's a ridiculous charge. To me, that's a ridiculous charge. It's the cleanup crew. Well, if it's the cleanup crew, they aren't cleaning up. Don't forget the farms dealer that got arrested in Barbados by Trini Cups. Craig. It was the same Trini Cup that abducted the businessman from Barbados. That is now detaining and questioning the commissioner. Anyway, you see this SSA business, them killing people out here. SSA, any of the SSA hitmen out here, if all you're taking a little tap, I know nothing, I just talking out here. I'm an innocent man. I have nothing involved. You all do your business, get your sniper rifles, you all do your thing. Do your thing. The messenger does always get in trouble. Watch what going on with Imbert making a mockery of court. I find in a case like that for Mr. Imbert though, I find he should pay for that case himself. If you go to the Privy Council, they hear your submission, they don't even hear the defense, and they just throw out the case automatically on its face. Nah, then you're wasting our money. Then you should not have gone to the Privy Council. No way should the taxpayer be paying, be on the hook for you just kicks in England. The Privy Council wants to know why you did this appeal, because it doesn't make sense. Well, if they are questioning that, nah man, you should pay for that out of your own pocket. Just wasting our money for nothing. And in that light, it's not just wasting our money, somebody is making that money. Bear that in mind. Look at the names on those cases. Go look at the names when the government hires lawyers and stuff, and the senior counsels and all of that and all of that and all of that. Go look at those names. And remember those names when you hear some of those men talking all magnanimously about the country and about benefit and about the country progressing and what the country needs. And you would take a couple 100,000 easy, wasting our money to go to the Privy Council knowing very well this case makes no sense. So be very careful of those people. Be very, very, very careful of those people. Dishonest, the whole bunch of them. This is why we need the CCJ. I don't know about that. Because wasting money and wasting an appeal could still be done at the CCJ. Blessings, Faizo. That could still be done at the CCJ. And maybe you could even have political influence at the CCJ. If it's one thing we could be at least partially confident of, is that Imbert can't go up to England and put a squeeze on the law lords and force them to do something that they didn't want to do. Shazami, I want to know here if you think Mother Earl are making a big jail. No, I don't. I don't think she would make a jail at all. I don't think anyone from the SSC likely would make a jail, if I'm to be honest. I think there could be jobs lost. I think there could be embarrassing court cases. And I think those court cases could be dragged out to kill anyone's career in the future. Those things could happen. But I do not think they are going to arrest, charge, put in prison a pension age policewoman. I just don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. The truth is, even if they are charged, the chances of this case finishing anytime soon is slim. There are people still on trial for the murder of Naipaul, Vindra Naipaul Kuhlman. Listen, there might be people in this chat that born after they killed Mrs. Naipaul. And that case is still ongoing. So, yeah. It's not like I think that is going to wrap up and someone is going to see the inside of prison very quick out of it. But there may be jobs lost. I could see that happening. Misbehavior in public office charges, I could see that happening. Embarrassing charges, I could see that happening. But jail, I don't foresee it. Not that it's impossible. Yeah, me, I'm in my mid-20s. You see, Shazam? Not that it's impossible, but I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Such is the way it goes, Such is the way it goes. Like, very often, political office comes with a bit of immunity. Comes with a bit of immunity. And that's the unfortunate reality. Now, there's a balanced state because you want political office to have some level of immunity because people have to be confident enough to be able to make decisions and make choices. So you don't want it to be that everything done in public office is so easily prosecutable that anybody who serves as any kind of public officer or politician is going to go to prison afterwards. Like, if I make a decision as a leader in a country and it doesn't work out to the positive, that shouldn't necessarily mean a jail-worthy charge. Fun fact, Shazam says, I'm actually a law student reading for the bar and it's kind of depressing to see. Nothing will come. Well, you may have a lot of depression to take as a lawyer. It's not just in TNT, you know, EJ. Joe Biden, former president of the United States, Joe Biden, issued preemptive pardons for a large section of his entire family, of his extended family, and the preemptive pardons span the course of, is it 11 or 15 years or something like that? You understand what that means? He basically said, anything any of my family did for the last decade, they cannot be prosecuted for it. A preemptive pardon means before they are even charged, don't even bother to charge them because you can't. So that's not just a Trinidad thing. And Joe Biden shared out those preemptive pardons from a side. Well, it's not that they could murder somebody, they could have murdered somebody. Because the preemptive pardon is up till that point. So it's not like they're pardoned into perpetuity, where everything they do from henceforth is still pardoned. It's everything they did between that, I can't remember the exact number of years. I think it's somewhere around 13, 14, 15, somewhere there. Everything within that span, they cannot even be charged for. And as I've heard some people complain about, the thing with that, what makes a preemptive pardon different, and I believe in the US it was only done once ever before, and it was done for a president from another president. Was it Nixon? The thing that I heard some people pointing out about that is with a regular pardon, the way pardons regularly work, at least the person would have gone through the judicial system. The judicial system would have done its job, and the wider public would at least get to know what the merits of the case are, so that they know this person was guilty of X. They are pardoned for it, but we know they were guilty of X. The thing with a preemptive pardon, what that does, is you don't even know what they are guilty of because you can't even try the case. Otis says it's like God forgiving you for a sin. But still it isn't like that. Because in the forgiveness of God, they talk about confession and contrition. You know, you confess, you repent and turn around. But in this, there's no confession and no repentance. There's just forgiveness without the confession and repentance. So, when we say above the law, because it's Trinidad and Tobago and this place is not real place, catch ourselves, because it's not just Trinidad and Tobago. It's not just us. But that's a reality. That is a reality. And looking at that experiment. Looking at that experiment up to our northwest there, to me, we see the balance of both. We could see the balance of both. Because you see the balance of above the law, but you also see the balance of why very often they give the leaders that semi-immunity. If you are more a believer in the Donald, Orange Man, the big orange, even if you're not much of a believer in him, if you are someone who follows news enough, you would see that in the last 4 years, they racked up something like, was it 300 plus charges against him, individual counts against him. New York tried to lock him up. Georgia tried to lock him up. The federal law enforcement, the attorney general tried to lock him up. Charges from all sides were being flung at him. And if you are being honest, if you're someone who looked at this honestly, you could honestly see there's no way Mr. Trump was just the worst, most corrupt person that ever lived and became the US president. That's why they have hundreds of cases against him. Mangolati says they changed the law in New York to try to lock him up. Yes, they did. So, that's kind of the reason they want to, and they like to in systems, give leaders some amount of latitude. Their Supreme Court over there ruled this on some of those federal charges. You cannot prosecute a leader for what they do as a leader. You have to go through a political process first before you could prosecute them for this. And it makes sense because you don't want it to be that every time UNC comes in power, they lock up all the PNM people from previous. And when the next PNM government come in power, they lock up all the UNC people from previous. And we just keep going like that. There are countries that function kind of like that, you know. And it doesn't help. Shunimav says, I wish I got into politics, yes, but my grandmother grew me up good. I just feel guilty. Nature Lover says, we locked up Pandy and let him go. Pandy locked up himself. Pandy went in jail because he decided to go because he thought it would have been good for the optics. He spent a couple of nights and decided, done this, let me out. And he was let out. Like, if you do something, the allegations were steal $1 million. You think you could choose when you go in jail and when you come out? Otis says they should have just used the Epstein list to get Trump. But who says he is on the Epstein list? From most accounts, it seems that he would not be a name on that list. And actually, they that want to get rid of him may actually be more on the list than him. Like, there are records of Trump kicking out Epstein out of his club because of that kind of alleged behavior. I mean, who knows what went on behind the curtain? I don't know. But for sure, there are other names on the list who would not want that list to come out. So, that Epstein list is like a mutually assured destruction pact. Few people, I think, would be interested in really letting that list be exposed. Both sides touched down on the island. That's kind of the point of what the man did, isn't it? Allegedly, the idea of what he was doing was to amass so much information on so many important people. Whoa, Roger. Yeah, by Darius a GT and it functioning right. Yeah, have so much information on so many important people that it makes you nearly untouchable until they decide to touch you. Just like Diddy. Allegedly, it seems though that Diddy's own was faced more on the entertainment industry, while Epstein's own was faced more on the finance and political side of things. And he has been doing that, he had been doing that for a long time. Bear in mind, there are believable accusations that he may have been a Mossad operative. So, as far as those things go, you don't know how much would be how many people would be brought down if light is put on that entire subject. And there are lots of people intertwined in between the secret agencies, Israel, and the United States. Oh, you're going to get a lot of dirty secrets out there. So, yeah. I doubt that's going to come out anytime. Somebody might have to die again for that to come out. You know, as we were talking about the US, something that annoys me. You telling me no one in this country can investigate Imbert for the missing billions, EJ says? Well, there's going to be a judicial review about that. But the conclusion of the matter is that there aren't missing billions. It was an error in accounting. Someone typed the wrong numbers. That's the alleged conclusion of that matter. So I guess you'd have to find where is the proof of the missing money, because even the Auditor General, who is on the other side of this whole brouhaha, she is not even alleging that money is missing. She's not even alleging that money is missing. It's just that they wanted her to make an edit out of the procedure that she is supposed to make that edit with. It's not that she is claiming that money is missing in and of itself. But yeah, something that I find so annoying in the conversations regarding the United States, as Trumpy boy jump in and freeze international aid, foreign aid and all of that stuff, and so many countries, including ours, lose connection to some of the outside money that we're getting. You see, so many people complain, and I hate it. I hate to see it, because many of those people complain out of opposite sides of their mouth. The United States is the devil incarnate. Wicked, evil people. They don't do nothing good for nobody. Keep them away from we. Okay, well, they stop giving money and pull away. Look how they're wicked and evil. Look how Trump dirty and them white supremacists. Which one is it? Abu Malik says, do we need that money? Personally, I think not. And I think the money is more of a leash than it is a help. It's a way to ensure that they see which direction your country goes in. So the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago is one already worried about being hard hit. You all know who the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago is, right? Planned Parenthood. For those of you who follow international news, that's Planned Parenthood in Trinidad in its own incarnation. And you hear where their funding comes from. Hi, Midas. Their funding comes from the US. So we have Salvation Army. What are you talking about, nature lover? Can you comment on the Sangre Grande Hospital, Dr. Bacchanal? What Bacchanal is that? Or are you talking about Salvation Army as a separate thing that gets their funding? But that's the kind of thing they fund. They fund gender studies programs. No, I'm not Bajan. I'm Trini. They fund gender studies programs. They fund pro-abortion. They fund LGBTQIA2+ lobbies. That's not, for the most part, that's not money we need. And something I noticed with a lot of those funds, very often it just makes bureaucrats richer. It's not like it comes into the country and flows through the entirety of the country's economy. Very often it goes into the government creates a program, the government hires someone of their political friends to run the program, and that's where the US dollars go. Some government friend running a program in East Port of Spain, they call it an outreach to the poverty, to those poor people, and the US pays for it. So a government friend makes money for some make-up random program. And that's their influence, creating a bureaucratic class of people. Like Arrive Alive Shinimav says. And I don't like it. Like, I don't like that bureaucratic class. Because for the same reason that you hear them speak about the deep state in the United States. Because that bureaucratic class dictates how people live their lives while having very little skin in the game. And they are not chosen by the people. You don't vote for bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are appointed. And oftentimes, they stay there regardless of which government changes. I heard they were thinking of revising the point system, and Clive Clark said he have to speak. That'd be nice. How is China doing society-wise? I don't know. I have never been to China. I can't say. If I were to guess, I'd say I guess they aren't doing all that well. The one-child policy really did them a number in the long-term scheme of things. They sold cities of houses that are kind of crashing. That's not working too well. But they certainly have a better grip on their society by and large, but I guess that's what happens when you're authoritarian. They had to speak with their stakeholders. Who the hell are their stakeholders? How to be Arrive Alive? You're right. You're right. Like regular, that's why anytime somebody comes up and say the government had to do something, shut up. Shut up. Hey, shut up. Please, shut up. Please. Please. So, your son went out liming in the car you buy for him, had too much fun, speed home, crash, had no seatbelt, unfortunately died. So you as a mother now will pick up yourself and launch a campaign across the whole country to demand the government put seatbelt on the law books, which only really has the effect of the government being able to steal our money at every corner. So Tanti, mourn your son and don't ask the government for nothing. Instruct your children. Maternalizing of I know that is a controversial one, But if you are someone who needs somebody to mother, stay out of government. Make a child, buy a dog, get a monkey, get a plant, something. Government job is not to mother the nation. Yeah, that seatbelt law is crap. Should be up to me to wear a seatbelt. You see, it's not me saying that you shouldn't wear a seatbelt or something like that. It's just the overstepping of what the government's role is. The government's role is not to make sure you make all the best decisions in your life. That's not the government's role. It's not. Why would a country like Trinidad and Tobago need financial aid or free medical ships pulling? We would need it because people want to make money. The NGOs and the bureaucrats want to be able to make money. And our government could only pay for so many NGOs, so the US government does the rest. Listen, the whole nasty mess of NGOs around the world is to a large extent sponsored by the United States. You know, that's their way of putting soft power out into the world. So, if you have an Islamic country that is extremely fundamental, you believe in your fundamentals of Islam and that's how you run your country, I don't have to go in and necessarily cause a war. I sponsor gender studies in your country. I have a grant from USAID of $50 million per year for gender studies in country X. I don't need to fight your fundamental Islamism because gender studies is already in opposition to it. Where does gender studies come from? Well, your ideologues created it. So obviously it's what you want is going to be imparted here. They do that all over the place, regularly, very regularly. And you see, even beside what they can do by putting the money there, it's the power they can exert by promising to remove the money. So let's look at another example. Let's say you are in a poor African nation, rampant corruption as many poor African nations have, because you know black people like to thief from each other. Yeah. You're in a poor African nation, you're the president. Your wife is in charge of 10 different NGOs. She's so loving, all about the country. NGOs for the children, NGOs for the women, NGOs for domestic violence, NGOs for this, NGOs for that. And she receives a stipend here and there. She can, basically, she has the say of where $100 million in US dollars per year goes. You have the say of that too. Now, when the US government tells you as the president of X African country that we want you to make Y decision, and you don't want to make Y decision, and they say, well, we are going to remove our aid. The aid doesn't really affect the poor people in the country, because really and truly, removing the aid from the poor people in the country can't make them make a decision. You have to be able to have an effect on the decision makers. So when the decision makers have all up to their shoulder inside of the US cookie jar, when the US says jump, unless they're willing to lose their hand, they're going to say, how high, sir? So that's why sometimes, like when people point out Venezuela and Cuba and that the US did them dirty. Venezuela and Cuba failed because the United States did them dirty. Not exactly. The US didn't trade with them. If you are good at managing your stuff, you don't need the US. They could say we're not going to play with you. They tried to do the same to Russia. How did that work out? Well, all they want to fight Ukraine? Well, fine. We take up we marbles and we going. We're not playing with you anymore. And Russia was like, okay. We'll sell our resources to India and then you all buy it from India. So all you do is put another step in the thing. The thing is, you can't do anything about it because we have the resources. Trump bullying BRICS too. Listen, I like it. I give Trump 100. Bully BRICS. Bully everybody. Because this is what the US basically always wanted to do. It's just they were doing it in that kind of underhanded, dirty, bureaucratic. No. Tell me you want Greenland, you want the Panama Canal, you're telling Mexico behave themselves, Canada need to bat in the crease so you'll make that. At least we know where you stand. Instead of all of this underhanded money seeping in under the doors coming into our countries. Gulf of America. I rather that any day. Like, you think the United States wasn't already doing their best to undo BRICS? They obviously were. But now at least they are upfront about it. Like, this, I really, it's a kind of that liberal smiling over soft apologizing and treating you like a child and stoop down to talk to you like, are you okay there, little Trini boy? You okay? You want to look at US that hold it. Yeah. It disgusts me. I hate it. And that kind of attitude that the US had since probably Obama days especially, that kind of super liberal, like we care and love everyone so much, but yet we're still doing everything selfishly. What do you think about the past administration DI policy? I hate it. I despise it. I don't like such things. I find it insulting to the highest degree. And it's another one of those things where you see contradicting statements. Like, I see some of the very pro-black folks say that, did you know the real beneficiaries of the DEI policy and of or the affirmative action is white women? It's white women really benefit from this, Okay, so then why are you complaining? Why are you bothered? Like, be happy they end it. It should be a merit-only system. Like, and I understand the arguments people say, yes, there were unfair things in the past, but there's nothing that we could reasonably do to even out the past that would make the future into utopia. There's nothing we could do about that. The only thing we can do now is make sure the present is level. We can't try to tweak the levels of the present to undo the inequalities of the past. That's insane. Who is to say how much those inequalities were in the first place? Who is to say who had it most unequal? What if I just had it last? So let's look at Spain, for example. Spain was under brutal colonization, where there was slavery and abuse and oppression from Africans. For centuries. But then Spain was the top of the colonial powers. Spain was the one that went out in front. They did the most. The conquistadors were Spanish. So if Spanish took some African slaves, and now 400 years down the road after colonialism, we're looking to even things out. Do we give the Africans resources from the Spanish because the Spanish did it to them last? Or do the Spanish deserve some from the Africans because the Moors did them in? How do you balance that? And who do you think is fair-minded enough to balance this for us? I don't trust it. Even if I believed my country was racist, our country has Indo and Afro-Trinis as the most populous groups. Let's say my group Afro was a tiny minority and it was mostly Indo. And I thought they were racist. And they were racist in the past and did racist things to us in the past. Okay. Do I then believe that they are so unracist now that they are going to do policies that put them at a disadvantage to help me catch back up? Mikhail Modesto, no, I don't actually. I don't. Who does the reparations go to? Who? Who gets the reparations? Is it based on race? Would everyone have to take a genetic test to ascertain their actual race? Descendants, okay. So, what if I am descended, as I am, from some colonists, and I look black? And then you have some white person that is descended from slaves, but they look white. And by now, so I suppose we'd all have to take some kind of DNA test to ascertain all of this, because you can't tell from looks. I assure you, you cannot tell from looks. So, you can't be serious. Mr. Nibbles, jump in the discussion. Jump in the discussion, please. Please jump in the discussion. I want to know who you're going to give money to. How are you doing this? Is it by percentage of African DNA? So if my DNA is 100% African, I get the full cash. If I'm 50-50 mixed, I get half cash. What about if an African came to the Caribbean after slavery? Because you know there are some of those. And what if that African came to the Caribbean after slavery and made a child with a Caribbean person? Is that Caribbean person now 100% entitled to reparation or only 50-50? And where do the reparations come from, pray tell? Do we ask the British for reparations for Trinidad and Tobago because it was Britain? What about those in the motherland that sold us? The Kingdom of Benin. Do we ask them for reparations too? Because they were paid. And they used that money to get very wealthy. And they used the arms and ammunition they traded for our bodies to wage war in Western Africa and conquer places. So, do we ask them for that money too? What about the fact that Britain spent what would have been back then billions of dollars to undo the slave trade? The slave trade they didn't actually start. Slavery was always there. Do we give them a discount based on the billions they spent to undo it? And it's amazing that we are talking about rectifying slavery 400 years ago, while there are more slaves presently in the world by number than existed in the height of the colonial era. Who we deserve something. We deserve something for what? What you deserve something for. What you did, what did you do or go through that you deserve something for? Listen, that statement is one of my most hated statements. If you know I don't like the word deserve. If you know how I don't like that word. People who are in this life for more regularly, you all know that. I don't like the word deserve. Who is to determine that? We deserve something. Says who? And if it's you saying you deserve something, well, go and take it and see what happens then. Deserve something. And it's amazing the arrogance that goes along with begging. None of the African diaspora could make any of the former European colonial powers give them money. You can't make it happen. So you are asking them for it, maybe even begging. And then you have the gumption to jump up with arrogance in it. We deserve this. You must give us this. What? No. No, you don't. And okay, we dealt with the side of who gets. Now, who gives? How do you determine that? Is it the descendants of the slavers that give? Kenzel Adam says you have to go take it. That will lead to war though. No, it will lead to what happened to Haiti. Haiti tried to take it. Did that work out really well? So who is giving? Is it the descendants of the enslavers that give, as in their personal descendants? If their personal descendants are poor now, how do we get? Or is it the country? The country. So England, Great Britain, United Kingdom as a country have to give. But for the United Kingdom as a country to give, you'd be taxing people who would also be descendants of slaves, because they are British people descended from slaves. Otis said this should have been dealt with when Marcus Garvey brought it up. You know, I don't disagree. If we were talking about funny stuff, nature. If we were talking about 100, 150, 200 years ago, where it was obvious your mother was a slave, your grandmother was a slave, you not too long get released yourself, well, there is directly someone to benefit. They have enough stolen gold, EJ says. So, what do you propose? What do you propose with the stolen gold they have? That they expropriate their gold and give it to who? Trinidad as a country? Because that's another issue I am so upset with the reparations stuff. I think California, the liberal hellscape, did this reparations thing. They started some reparations, which is strange because California was never a slave state. There was never slavery on that piece of land. But okay, California wanted to do reparations because they wanted I have them on both sides. Because they wanted to, show that they're so lovable and kind and such nice liberal people. So they did reparations. What did reparations look like? Okay, well, they got some money and sent it over to the African American department in a university. They sent it over to an NGO that does great work in the black community. So y'all negras get not a cent. But Cambon and them, the Emancipation Support Committee, the government, a couple NGOs get some millions to dance around and frolic with. To go over to Africa and dress up and play dance and come back and show us pictures and build a museum and say, this is what the reparations did. You see, it really helped us Africans. Like, what y'all think is what y'all want? Let me see if this is what the reparations people want. What y'all want is for countries like England to take all of their gold reserves, you said they have gold, and split it up amongst the direct descendants, I suppose, because I don't think y'all would want that government or NGO idea. So split it up amongst the descendants of only African slaves, or would it extend to like the Irish slaves that Great Britain did a real injustice to? The potato famine wasn't really a famine in and of itself. It was just that Britain was taking the people's potatoes and killing off 3/4 of their population. Well, causing them to die or leave. 3/4 of the Irish population. Do they get reparations for that too? Or is it just the Africans? Just the Africans? And I never hear anybody answer the question about whether we go and ask Benin for our money. Do we go back to the kingdom of Benin? Well, it's not the kingdom anymore, but do we go back to Benin? Look for some of those tribes that still exist there in Africa. Blessed Night Sheep, man. Do we go and ask them for it? You know, it was kind of funny. The great chief from Ghana came to Trinidad. Sporting gold. Real gold. Y'all ever saw how much gold that chief has? He was welcomed with open arms in Trinidad. Oh gosh, look, we family. That is we family. Y'all ever check the history? Y'all ever check? Listen. Basically, every tribe and civilization that existed on that slave coast, there's the Gold Coast, and there was the slave coast of Africa. Yeah, I know he apologized, but so did the prince. So did Great Britain. But we aren't talking about apology, we're talking about reparations. We need that big gold chain chop up. We want him to cut up all them big gold chain and bira he's be rocking and give us piece by piece. That's what we want. We want that too. Are we taking that too? Abu says if all you feel Tobago Obia bad, touch he metal na man. You see, we chop it up and spread it across the Caribbean, and every Caribbean country catch we only catching hurricane in train. All the hurricanes training. They starting off suspicious. All the hurricanes starting off the coast of Africa, crossing the whole Atlantic and wiping out the whole Caribbean going. And you want goal? The juju struck. Well, that's where the juju come from, eh? So if the obia real, it real down there. It closer to whatever ground it come from touching. The spirits that they deal with, they're from Africa in the first place. Hey, but on a serious, like to actually look at that, that's what upsets me a lot of the times with the reparations discussion. We don't honestly have the discussion. We see a couple movies and we get our emotions involved, and we see, look how many rich white people there are, and look how poor the black people have it. Why the white people don't give what they have to the black people? Because they get what they have because they thief from we. It's not that simple. I see they ban witchcraft in FIFA games in Africa. Good luck. We done getting Sahara dust free. Leave the man metal alone. Imagine they had to take that serious in a meeting. Yeah. And like, especially if you're coming at this from the point of weakness where you're begging. I am too skeptical also to even believe that if somehow we could beg out of the British, like, if I believe these people are racist to their core, white supremacists who hate African people and do not want to see us elevated, why would I beg them for anything? The reparations conversation. Do you know who is Tipu Tip? Yes, I do. That's on the other side of Africa, Zanzibar. What's Zanzibar? What's the country name again? One of the richest guys, but listen, Abu. I read a pretty in-depth story on him, some pretty in-depth history on him. That guy had an eventful life, and just as we were talking about in the last episode, why, when we're looking to make movies about black people and Africans, we have to go and try and come on there and say that King Arthur was actually black and King Arthur was secretly a Nignoggana? Like, give you a ease up now. Give us a story on Tipu Tip. Those guys had some very adventurous lives. But yeah, I know of the Tipu Tip. Many such men of great wealth and suspicious morals too. What you gonna do? And that's the thing, that's history. Lots of people like that throughout history. Lots of unfair games played throughout history. And we cannot make the games fair now. It's just not going to be possible. It's just not going to be possible. And the truth is, none of us who benefited from some historical advantage would like to hear those that were disadvantaged by that history come back and say they want something. So, Sade Johnson says, so what are your thoughts on the almost 100 billion euros paid to the victims of the Holocaust? That happened within the lifetime of the victims of the Holocaust. I knew I was going to bring it up myself, but it's no surprise that someone did. That's usually what people bring up when they speak about the reparations, that they paid back the Holocaust victims. Like, beside the general dislike of the J folks, we should be able to separate that and see it's really not the same thing. It really isn't. It happened over a much shorter period. It involved too much more itemized group of people. The people are still alive. It's still within remembered history. It's really not the same. It really isn't the same. That's why I said if we were having this discussion 50 years after slavery, the discussion would have been different. Obviously, something different needs to go on. But now, what's the oh gosh, what's the legal word for that? When the time runs out on a case. What's the word for that? What's that limit for historical wrongs? Do the Jews get to claim that they were slaves back in Egypt days and demand statute of limitations? Right, statute of limitations. What's the statute of limitations on historical injustices? Do the Jews get to claim that we were actually the historical children of Israel were us, and we were enslaved by the Egyptians, so we want back some money for that? Do they? Do Africans get to claim some of Arabia's oil wealth based on the Arab slave trade that was bigger and more brutal? Or is it that the Arabs will get away with it because they castrated these Africans and made sure you all couldn't reproduce and you all couldn't stay in our country in those high numbers? So is it that you would reward the Arabs for genocide by not making them pay because the direct descendants of their slaves are dead? Such interesting questions, and I don't know how you would start to answer most of them when you start sending money across the world to undo historical injustices. And historical is not talking about within the last 70 years. We're talking 500 years ago, 400 years ago. The word slave is origined from the Slavic people of Eastern Europe because they were slaves to just about everybody. Everybody passed through Eastern Europe there and take up a few Slavs and go with them as slaves. So much so that the word came from the name for their people. So maybe, and it's ironic, maybe if we're talking global reparations, the people that should get the most might actually be the Slavs over the Africans. But you think money could undo historical injustice? Not really, no. Not really, no. Nothing can undo it, really and truly. Nothing can undo it. Money can help in the future, yes. But it can't undo what was done. That's not going to happen. That's not possible. All right, people. That's all I have for now. Let's look at Haiti and France. Yeah. And of all places, of any relationship between any peoples, that Haiti and France pairing may be the most necessitating of reparations. Maybe. And Haiti has an okay claim to it because there is a number that was sent directly from our people to your people. So, you could have a claim on that. But I don't think even if France sends back that money in direct financing back to Haiti, it's going to undo what was done to Haiti. No, it's not, Abu. No, it's not. Like, what would you rather? Would you rather be able to become a very wealthy person all on your own now? Or would you rather reparations to boost up your wealth? Like, figure out how to do it. It can be done. Slavery isn't holding you back and you are not a slave. Chattel slavery was gruesome, man. That's why we talk about it. Unprecedented exploitation of labor. Not even close to unprecedented, RL Christian. Not even close to unprecedented. Yes, it was different. Yes, there was some uniqueness to it because there was a racial aspect. But it was not unprecedented, sir. It was not. There have been extremely cruel eras of slavery that have passed before. It wasn't the Europeans had a special copyright on torture and cruelty. Ronnie, you're as late as... I hope you were educated, informed, or entertained. That's how late you are, Ronnie. Yes, folks, as Ronnie says, have a hood night. Go down in the ghetto and have a hood night. But Ronnie, as per usual, we are live on the YouTube. We are there on the YouTube. You can catch it all back. It was a real nice discussion. You miss out. Real good discussion. Good stuff. Alright, people. It was nice. I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live, which is most likely going to be tomorrow again around that 9:30 p.m. time. Until then, people, I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I'm signing Beta Pass. Laters. Hold it down.